This video is for anyone that's having issues with their pool light. For example, it's flickering, it shorts out sometimes, it doesn't work at all, or it hasn't worked in a long time. In the first part of this video, I'll help you troubleshoot what's wrong. In the second part, I'll show you how to replace the bulbs or the internals. And lastly, I'm going to teach you how to fish an entire new pool light and cable if you ever need to. These tips and tricks can save you a lot of money, so stay tuned. Start off by checking all circuit breakers from the pool equipment leading to the pool. It is possible that a circuit breaker has tripped and simply needs to be reset. Also, check that you don't have any GFCI outlets that are tripped. These are special outlets that will trip anytime it senses water near the electricity. Some breakers have a GFCI on the breaker themselves. If all the circuit breakers look okay and they've been reset with no issues, move towards the pool light junction box. Before opening any of these or getting near the wires, make sure you turn off the power using the circuit breakers for safety reasons. On newer pools, the light junction box will stick up like this out of the ground, and they're easy to access and find the screws and wires. But I've also seen them hidden under bushes, fences, and even fake rocks. On older pools, they may be harder to find and they can be slightly buried under the ground, so you might have to work a bit harder to find these. Basically, these junction boxes are the point where the pool light cable connects to the power from your pool equipment pad. I'm going to open up this pool junction box and I want to check the voltage coming from the pool equipment to verify that it's working here. On older pool light systems, they're usually 120 volts, which is dangerous, so you'll need to be careful and not touch any wires here. On the newer equipment, most pool installers switch to low voltage 12 volts. So there's a transformer back in the pool equipment that switches it from 120 down to 12. These are safer to deal with. Using a multimeter on the AC voltage side, I'll put it on 200, which means it can handle up to 200 AC volts to check. I will turn on the circuit breaker. Now the power should be flowing this direction. I'll go to the junction box and verify that I am receiving 120 volts. If you're not receiving 120 volts, there is an issue between the junction box and back at the pool equipment. If you have the low 12 volt voltage system, you'll need to switch your multimeter for DC power, and you'll check here that you're receiving 12 volts. If you don't receive 12 volts, you may have a transformer issue back at your pool equipment. I'll put a link in the video description below for replacement transformers if you need one. If you determine that the voltage is all good at the junction box, then you'll need to pull the light from the pool. These are held in place by one small Phillips screw usually. You do not need to drain the pool, and you can reach down with one arm to unscrew the light. Once the light is unscrewed, the light housing is full of air and will float to the top of the pool. There should be adequate extra cable hidden behind the light niche so you can lift it up onto a towel on the side of the pool. From here, you can remove the metal band on the back of the pool light to open up the housing and see what you're dealing with. If you have an older light system, which is the kind that you see here, it will be a simple light bulb that needs to be replaced. The older ones will be incandescent and use a ton of power, and you'll want to upgrade to an LED version. The LED versions can last many years and they hold up well. I'll put a link in the video description below for the exact colored and white LED bulbs that I use. If you're wondering if your bulb is bad or not, simply unscrew it and take it inside and plug it into a table lamp and check it out. For detailed instructions on how to open, replace, and close the light housing properly with a new rubber seal, please watch my other detailed video on this, which should pop up on the screen here. Now, if you have the newer style pool light, it has an integrated LED system, such as Pentair, IntelliBrite, or Jandy. While these look cool and they do function pretty well, they do not last as long as the manufacturers claim. The light drivers inside become hot and they burn out as short as 2 years. You'll need to check if it's covered under warranty, but often it fails just outside that warranty period. If you have this style and you know the voltage is correct at the housing, which you can check by applying a multimeter here to check for 120 or 12 volts, then you'll need to replace the light driver. I'll put links in the video description below for quality light drivers to swap it out and a set of folder and instructions on how to do so. You can also watch my other detailed video on how to open and close the housing properly so you have no leaks in the future. What is the light driver, you ask? It's just a small circuit board where the LEDs are soldered on, and it can translate the voltages and frequency and offer some of the additional features and colors of that particular light. Okay, let's say that your light bulbs and your LED drivers are all okay, but you're not receiving good voltage to the junction box. In that case, we need to go back to our pool equipment pad and figure out where the issue lies there. If you're not receiving 120 volts that you're expecting, it could be that the circuit breakers are worn out, damaged inside, or there's a relay inside your box that's worn out. So you need to focus on that area. If you have a low 12 volt system, you'll want to check the small transformer device which converts 120 volts down to 12. I'll put a link in the video description below for the common replacement transformers if you need one. Okay, let's say that you troubleshooted everything and it appears there is an issue with the cable, the light, or the housing, and you just need to replace the entire thing. The best way to do this is to fish a poly pulling line through your existing cable conduit and pull a new one through. I'll put a link in the video description for the exact poly line that I like to use for pulling through conduit. These work extremely well because they're designed to handle up to 150 pounds of pulling pressure without breaking or getting snagged. We will do this at the junction box near the pool. Take a few photos of the existing wire colors and the setup so you know how to connect the new one. It will be much easier this way and less confusing. It's very crucial how to connect the poly pull line to the existing pool light cable. I will turn off the power here and verify there's no electricity. Then I will remove the wire nuts and begin to connect the pull line. There should be 3 wires on the cable here. We will take 2 of them and fold them back on themselves to make an attachment point. We are going to tape the 2 wires to each other very tightly with black electrical tape. Then you can tie on the pull line with several knots. We will cover the entire wire area with black electrical tape very tightly towards the poly line, trying to make a smooth and skinny area here. We will snip off the 3rd wire and not use it. We want to keep this small and easy to fish through the conduit. Now that the pull line has been attached, we need to lube the existing conduit using dish soap. Apply a good amount of dish soap here, and even a few cups of water can help distribute the soap down the conduit. Now we are ready to remove the existing pool light with the 1 screw and float it to the top of the pool on the ledge. Now this is the point where it's very helpful to have 2 people. You want someone to begin pulling the existing pool light cable while the other person is feeding that pull line so it does not snag on a nearby tree, bark, or anything else. You may have some resistance here on the cable, so go slow, and if you need to, add some more dish soap. And if it's really bad, you can stick a hose down the conduit and flush additional water. You can also wrap the cable around a small pipe and use that as a pulling pipe to get better leverage against the cable. Once the poly pull line reaches the pool, then you can pull it out several more feet and snip off the old light cable. Now we want to lay out the old light and find out how long it is next to the new light. When purchasing the new light, you'll want to stick with the same brand, either Pentair, Jandy, etc., because they have different mechanisms inside that help sync up their colors and the way that they operate. However long the old pool light cable is, add an additional 5 or 10 feet just to be safe before cutting the wire. When unwinding the new pool light, do so in a proper manner by spinning the cable and feeding it out nicely instead of just pulling it where it can create bends. Now, using the same method before, we will attach the poly line to the new cable and we will pull it through all the way back to the beginning of the junction box. Remember, we want to have plenty of additional cable to pull the light out and keep it to the side of the pool in future for servicing. Now you can snip off the piece of cable here and strip off the wire insulation and go ahead and connect everything to the existing wires to verify it all works before we cut down the length of this cable. Use the photo that you took earlier to connect the same color wires as before. When you turn on the circuit breakers and the pool light, everything should work. If it does, you can shut off all the power, trim down the wire to the proper length so it fits in the junction box nicely. Make sure that you tighten down the clamp on the junction box here so that anyone that's servicing the light cannot pull on these wires or cables, or so the wires do not fall down the conduit. Do not run the light outside water for more than 20 or 30 seconds at a time, because the bulb inside will get very hot and it needs the water to help cool it off. Also, remember to leave plenty of extra cables so that the pool light can be pulled out and put on the ledge of the pool. That is so important. Okay, that's the end of this video. Please give us a like and a subscribe if you found some value here, and don't forget to check the links below in the video description for all the different parts and lights and any of the instruction manuals. We'll see you guys in the next video.